If you just moved up to Excellent Buried and you're struggling a little bit, I'm going to tell you a story about what I learned in Excellent Buried that was going wrong when we started to search. You might be a lot like we were. In Novice and Advanced Buried, we'd just be able to nail them. We'd go out, my dog would hit, odor, he'd alert, I'd call it, we'd be good to go. But when we moved up to Excellent, started noticing a lot more false alerts. And at the time, I didn't realize. I just was thinking, oh, it's 3 containers versus 2 versus 1. I mean, how much harder could this be? Excellent is kind of that threshold where you start to get more complex odor puzzles. In the AKC Judges Guidelines, which all competitors should read, Novice and Advanced should avoid having converging odor or pooling odor. There should be really no complex odor puzzles going on. Novice is testing, can your dog source and indicate odor? Advanced is, can your dog source and indicate odor, and then go and do it again. Excellent is where you start seeing odor puzzles, and I didn't know that at the time. So you start seeing some pooling, some converging, containers are closer to each other, so there's more of a chance that odor from the one that has the hide in it's going to push over. There are things going on with the different mediums, sand and water. So for example, if you have a hide in a sand and it's next to a water without a hide and airflow is just right, enough odor can collect on that water to make it seem like to a dog that, oh, this is probably where it's at. And that's where you start getting those false alerts. Well, that was all invisible to me at the time. I had no idea. No idea that complexity was going on. So as we started to progress, we were getting better. The other thing that I noticed is that where normally his alerts would be very, very confident on the sand or water for buried in Novice and Advanced. And Excellent, I'd call alert, and then literally right after I called it or while I was calling it, he'd pull off the box and he'd go somewhere else. And what I came to learn later was that was actually him thinking through and solving the puzzle. So what was likely going on is that scenario that I just told you about, where you have a sand with a hide in it and a water without, and the odor was drifting and catching on the water. And I had never really exposed him to what that looked like before, and he'd never really seen that in trial before, because, quite frankly, probably like you, I didn't practice buried at home as much as I should at all. So he was really training at trial. So I had to, in Excellent, really slow down my calls for a while, and I still have to slow down my calls, and that's because the odor puzzles are a little bit more complicated and the dog needs a chance to reason through them. I can't tell you how many times I would slow it down to where I thought I was slow enough, and then he'd pull off and go to another container, and it was totally him just thinking. He just needed that time to think. So between understanding that the odor puzzles and Excellent get a lot more difficult in your buried element, the mix of sand and water also creates a little bit more difficulty. The fact that you could have hides closer to each other, that creates a little bit more difficulty. And then if you don't train that much and you're not showing your dog these odor pictures, they might need time to think through the puzzle, and they might need time to think through it anyway, even if you do train a lot, because they might be encountering a buried puzzle that they've never really seen before. So I hope that that's helpful for you if you're experiencing some growing pains after moving up to Excellent Buried.